I know I should be happy, but I'm not. So says Charlie Brown to Lucy as Christmas nears. As you may recall, I know I should be happy, but I'm not. And you'll recall Lucy then sets into motion. She is going to help Charlie Brown by diagnosing this syndrome. Like, what is it ultimately that ails him? And if you recall, she has this list of phobias. And every time I go in, we do this play in 5th grade every year here. So I get another chance to contemplate, and I'm always impressed by Lucy because she's got to memorize all those big words, those phobias, right? But it all culminates in one called pantophobia. As Lucy will say, the fear of everything. The actual technical definition is a condition of vague, non-specific anxiety. You might say generalized fear. What I just want to hold for your own experience is, I'm not really happy if I'm honest, but I know I want to be. I maybe have been at times. And then just the way that you and I can harbor in our hearts this generalized anxiety about what's not right in the world or in the church or in my family or in my own heart. Now, I thought of this in my own spiritual reading this past week when I came across something I had never heard of before called instant gratification syndrome. Have you ever heard of this? I actually looked it up. I said, is this author making this up? Well, here it is. A habit where you forgo short-term pain and instead indulge in fleeting pleasures that ultimately result in long-term pain. Put another way, you might say it's where the pleasures of the moment just seem so much more enticing than the temporary pain you'll experience in the pursuit of your goals. Now, even when this wasn't named as a syndrome, I suppose it's been with us as long as there's been human people, huh? But there's something about the frenetic pace of our modern culture and world, the way that our digital gadgets are attached to our appendages, and the way that it forms our brain. So stay with me a little bit. I'm going to get to the Magi, but I did a little research and I came across this particular psychologist saying, here's how you break free from instant gratification syndrome. 5 simple steps. Maybe these won't seem overly novel, but it's helpful to reflect on. Number 1, know what you want. Like, where do you want to be going? What do you want to be working towards with the one life you have to live? Second, identify potential obstacles. What temptations could sidetrack you from this goal, this pursuit? And how will you handle those temptations? Third, build a strong support network. Who can support me along this journey that life is all about? How can they support me? 4, set clear boundaries. You might say, what are those guardrails of what you will do and what you will avoid at all cost to stay true to this goal? And then 5, very human, create a reward system. If I'm faithful this week, I'm going to have a steak on Sunday, You see what this does? It puts pleasures in their proper place. In other words, pleasures support the objective of my life. They are not the objective. They're not an end in themselves. I think of John Henry Newman, who'd say, men and women are not made for comfort. They are made for greatness. So, instant gratification syndrome. I want to ask you, as you hear this, what are you pursuing? Like ultimately. What's in your anxieties? That's going to tell you. It's going to lead you to what you're constantly thinking about. What are you pursuing? What is the most important thing in your life? And then secondly, is it worth pursuing? Are you tired of that chase? Are you tired of that direction? So beautiful, this feast of the Epiphany. I think the Magi reveal to us really important truths over our life, of our life, about our life. First of all, they show us the ultimate pursuit of life. The ultimate pursuit of life is to find the living God who we are made to be in communion with. And when this pursuit is central, it actually gives all of life a quality of adventure. It fills even the difficult things, the monotonous things, with a sense of meaning, a sense of purpose. You might contrast this to a kind of, living a distracted life, living in denial of my ultimate destiny. Here these men set off hundreds of miles on an arduous journey, all the discomforts entailed, all the uncertainty, because this desire alive in their heart to see the living God. It's astoundingly beautiful. I wonder when we give up on that own desire in our heart. And then we just sort of, entertain ourselves with pleasures. The second thing I think the Magi show us is the surprising joy of discovering and rediscovering Jesus. That he's a presence, he's alive, he's near. And he fills us with this promise, this hope. When you read the text, it says, when the star came to rest over the house, they were exceedingly joyful. The actual word is ecstatic. They were ecstatic with joy. Do you know what Greek ecstasis means? It means a literally going out of myself. Like they went out of what was small, what was not worth the measure of their life, and they were in this amazing joy, like this infinite joy. And this was it. A child unable to speak a word. The silent presence of the God who created the universe in bread and wine. What do I want to say? That every rediscovery in our life that leads to Jesus is filled with joy. It is. And it's a joy so different than those instant pleasures that are all surrounding us. And even when this rediscovery means that you and I have to repent, I have to say, why have I given my heart's energy to these things? Lord, I'm sorry. I want to be back on the course of life that matters. I was just with the second graders, preparing them for their first reconciliation, faith formation. And I had to introduce myself, And I said, do you know who I am? And I'm a priest, that's right, but I'm also a pastor. And do you know what that is? It means shepherd. You ever seen what a shepherd does? A shepherd's trying to keep the sheep together, to protect them from what's harmful, and ultimately to lead them somewhere. I said, boys and girls, where am I trying to lead you and all the people here, your mom and dad? I was astounded that it wasn't ready on their tongue. But maybe we forget too. It's heaven. It's heaven or bust. I could come up with the cure for cancer, but if I don't reach that destination, my life is a failure. Like fundamentally. Third and final thing the Magi shows us is that adoration, like the creature prostrate in the presence of the God who created him or her, leads to a new, different trajectory with our whole life. When I give my heart to adoration, I'll never give it to those small things in the same way. Why would I? I found him. Only he's worthy of that. Only he's worthy of what's deepest in me. So yeah, I'll get distracted from time to time. But you know what? At the end of the football game, it's just a football game. And at the end of that failure in my life, it's just a failure. But I'm going to continue to adore him. Two last things. One of my favorite images, it hangs as a tapestry in our chapel at the rectory that Father Ben and I live in and you own. And it's one of the Magi who's set his crown aside now, and he's on all fours. It's fantastic. Almost like a dog, you know? And there he is, and there's Mary in the house holding the baby Jesus. And he's kissing the big toe of the baby Jesus. And I love that. It's so incarnational. We get to do this when we show the Lord reverence in our life. When we show him reverence for the way he comes to us in such a humble way in the sacraments, and especially in the most blessed sacrament. I remember Father Groeschel telling a story of a woman saying, when he explained to her the real presence, transubstantiation, like, no, this isn't a symbol. She said, if I believed that, I would prostrate myself and never get up. Such is the gift of how he comes to us. But the final thing, it's this little detail. We're told when they adored Jesus, you know what they did? They went home by a different way. It's meant to say that when adoration is the central thing, our journey, our pursuit of the Lord, relationship with him, deepening union, friendship with him, it actually affects how I'm in life. It affects my friendships. It affects why I get up in the morning. It affects what disappoints me and what doesn't disappoint me. They went home a different way. Their lives were changed by their encounter with him. So today, as we think about I know I should be happy, but I don't know, maybe a little bit. I'm not fully happy. And I know I shouldn't be carrying around this generalized, non-specific anxiety and fear, but sometimes it gets the best of me. And I certainly don't want to fall prey to this syndrome of instant gratification. Well, what's the answer, huh? The answer is what the Magi revealed to us on this beautiful feast.